Dan and Jeff are best friends and travel bloggers.
Yeah!
They plan an epic hiking trip, but Dan has to go to the hospital, and Jeff goes on the trip by himself. Dan gets better and decides to go find Jeff and surprise him. On the way, Dan meets the locals and questions them about Jeff. The farmer says,
I didn't see any strangers on my land. I don't like uninvited guests.
Then Dan knocks on a cabin in the woods. A cute old couple opens the door. They say,
It's just the two of us. We haven't had any guests in our house for many years.
And finally, Dan questions a tourist.
I set up my camp here yesterday. I didn't see anybody who looks like Jeff.
Who's lying? Let's take a closer look at the old couple's table. Why would they need to serve 3 teacups if they don't have any guests? One day, Jeff and Dan find a treasure map. They rent a boat to go find the hidden treasure, but the map has a twist. It shows 5 islands, and it doesn't say directly where the treasure is. All it says is that the other 4 islands are very dangerous. There's an ancient text written on the opposite side of the map. Jeff and Dan translate it into English, and that's what they get. Can you help them figure out the correct location of the treasure? According to the poem, they should stay away from the island with no single plant. Also, they should avoid the island that's surrounded by sharks, the island with a mountain, and the heart-shaped island. So the only island left is this one. The treasure should be here. The guys come over to the island. Suddenly, they get surrounded by a crowd of crabs. Can you sort one odd crab out? There it is! Jeff and Dan keep on walking and see this sign. There are 4 possible routes, but only one of them will actually lead them to the treasure. Can you figure out the correct way? The trick to solving this maze quickly is to start drawing from the final destination, so they should take route A. Finally, Dan and Jeff find a treasure chest, but it's locked. They need a 4-digit code. Can you help them open the combination lock? Take a look at the images painted on the treasure chest. It's not just a decoration, it's a hint. To crack the code, we need to count the number of details in each icon. So the code is 8382. Dan and Jeff get back to the port with the treasure. They book the best room in the most expensive hotel. Then they decide to relax in the spa area and see 2 ladies taking baths. Can you guess who's not from this planet? Both! The lady on the left has tentacles, and the lady on the right doesn't look human-like at all. After the spa session, the guys go to the restaurant. Can you see anything odd here? There's a rat in this guy's glass. After dinner, Dan and Jeff return to their room. Oh no, someone robbed them! The police officer arrives quickly and examines the crime scene, but he finds no signs of a break-in. He questions 3 suspects who had a key. The hotel manager says,
I spent all day with my husband, and my shift started 15 minutes ago, so I don't know what happened here.
The repairman says, I entered the room about an hour ago to replace burnt-out light bulbs. Everything looked fine. And the cleaner says,
I cleaned the room in the morning before the check-in, and I've never entered it again.
Who's lying? The repairman said he had replaced the bulbs with new ones. But this lamp still lacks a bulb. Seems like he was busy doing something else.
Oh no.
Dan and Jeff want to get their treasure back, so they search the repairman's apartment. Can you help them find it? It's on the couch, hidden under the pillows. The treasure chest is okay, but the thief locked it and changed the code. The guys need to figure out a new 4-digit combination to open it. There are no hints in this apartment, only this shopping list. Can you figure out the code? Let's take a closer look at the list. If we count the number of letters in each word, we'll get the code. 6, 7, 5, 4. Jeff brings the treasure to his house because he has a safe. He sets a new 4-digit code and leaves a reminder nearby. Can you guess the new code? To solve this one, we need to turn the piece of paper upside down. This way, 0, 5, 8, 9 will turn into 6, 8, 5, 0. Jeff is chilling in his living room. Suddenly, the electricity goes out in the entire neighborhood. 1 hour later, Dan arrives at Jeff's place and finds him tied to a chair. 30 minutes ago, a masked man robbed my house and took the treasure. The police arrive at the crime scene right away. They identify 3 suspects and interview all of them. Jim says, "I was washing my car." Rita says, "I was making coffee." And Emma says, "I was doing the laundry." Who's lying? There was a blackout, so the suspects couldn't use any electrical equipment. Jim washed his car with a sponge. Rita made coffee in the chesva. As for Emma, she couldn't use the washing machine. Therefore, her story is fake. Dan goes to a costume party, but the guard at the entrance refuses to let him in without a password. He says, "All you need to figure it out is in this room." Dan looks around and solves this mystery. What about you? Let's take a look at the graffiti wall. The 4th palm stands out because it's the only image of a left hand. Also, there are cosmic tattoos on each hand. Therefore, the secret password is the sun. Dan and Jeff are walking down the street and filming another vlog. Suddenly, a flower pot falls right down on Jeff's head. Dan helps Jeff get back on his feet and identifies the apartment from which the pot fell. They ring the bell. A young couple opens the door. "Jeff was injured by the pot you threw away." But the couple says,
That's impossible. You probably confused the floors. We returned from a long trip just a minute ago.
but the guys didn't believe them. Why? If the couple had just returned, there would be some suitcases in the hall, and the water in the kitchen couldn't boil in 1 minute. They lied to avoid paying compensation. The next morning, Dan wakes up in a creepy basement. An obsessed fangirl kidnapped him and locked Dan in her house. She brings him some food and leaves. Dan notices a piece of paper on the floor. Finally, he hears the fangirl leaving the house. Dan kicks down the door and runs to the front door to escape, but there's a combination lock, and he needs to enter a 4-number code. There must be a clue to the lock on the paper. Which combination opens the door? The number of fruits implies each digit in the code, and the color sequence on the paper implies the position of each digit. So Dan should enter 2, 3, 1, 4. Jeff and Dan decide to shoot their next adventure in a haunted village. A scary werewolf has been scaring the residents here for several days. The guys know that the werewolf has a wife. She's the only person who can calm the monster down and help him return to his human form again. They find 3 ladies. Each of them might be the wife, but none of the ladies admits it. Can you guess who the real werewolf's wife is? It's the 3rd lady. She has some brown wool on her clothes. Jeff takes a picture of an exotic parrot. Can you find the correct shadow of this bird? Only the 5th shadow is the perfect match. Hey Sherlock, I see you're ready for a new challenge. I've got just the thing for you. A jewelry store owner reported a theft. A detective arrived and interviewed 3 employees, John, Sarah, and Mike. John claimed he had been in the storeroom. Sarah said that one customer had been having problems with his credit card, and she had been trying to help him. And Mike insisted he had been in the office. The detective immediately realized who was lying. Have you figured it out too? Sarah is lying. Have you noticed that note on the window? Cash only? The store doesn't accept credit cards, so Sarah must be the thief. 4 guys having 5 rocks each were playing a game in which they needed to throw rocks at a small island in the water. The first guy succeeded in throwing 3 rocks at the island, but one of his rocks sank. The 3rd guy's aim was so bad that all his rocks sank. The 4th guy was quite good. At least none of his rocks sank. And the 2nd guy was actually the winner, but he was struck by a rock in the head and was rushed to the hospital. Who threw a stone at the 2nd guy? It was the 1st guy. He still had 1 rock left, remember? In the morning, Mrs. Williams cooked a chocolate cake for her husband's birthday. But when she came back home in the evening, the cake was gone.
Oh no!
The woman knew that one of her kids had eaten the cake. When she questioned them, she got the following answers. Albert said, "Hannah did it." Hannah said, "It was Cedric." And Cedric said, "Hannah is lying." Assuming that the culprit lies and the other kids tell the truth, who ate the cake? It was Hannah. When Albert said it was Hannah, he was telling the truth. When Hannah said Cedric did it, she was lying. And when Cedric responded, "Hannah is lying," he was telling the truth. Look at these words. One of them is odd. Can you figure out which one? It's the word fourth. It should be spelled as fourth. Look at these 2 couples. There's something strange with one of them. Which one? The couple on the left is weird. Look, they don't get reflected in the mirror behind their backs. Are they vampires or what? Creepy. Agents Yellow, Red, and Green each have a green badge, a yellow badge, and a red badge, but none of them has a badge color that matches their name. They were invited to a conference at the headquarters. The agent with the green badge said, "I've solved 2 cases," to which Agent Red replied sarcastically, "Of what, missing kittens?" What color is each agent's badge? Pay attention to the fact that it was the agent with the green badge and not Agent Green who was talking to Agent Red. Since the agent with the green badge spoke to Agent Red, we know that Agent Red doesn't have the green badge. We already know he doesn't have the red badge either. Therefore, he must have a yellow badge. The agent with the green badge cannot be Agent Red, nor can he be Agent Green. Therefore, he must be Agent Yellow. So, Agent Yellow has the green badge and Agent Red has the yellow badge, which means Agent Green must have the red badge. In the morning, Agent Black had a fight with his wife, Agent White. Later in the day, he sent her a coded message as an apology. It went like this. Can you figure out what this message means? Agent Black told his wife, "Too wise you are, too wise you be. I see you are too wise for me." Now it's time to turn on your analytical skills to the max. Can you figure out which number is missing here? The number you need is 78. If you read these numbers upside down, you'll get 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91. Another riddle to check how sharp your wit is. You can't see it, but it can see through you. What is it? It's an X-ray. It loses the head in the morning and only gets it back at night. What is it? It's a pillow. They are two brothers on opposite sides of the road, but they never see each other. What are they? They're your eyes. The combined age of the father and the son is 66 years. The age of the father is the age of the son, but with the digits reversed. Can you figure out how old they are? A little hint. There might be more than one correct answer. The father might be 60 years old, then his son is 6 years old. Or the father is 51 years old and the son is 15. And finally, the father can be 42 years old and the son will then be 24. Try to answer this question without thinking. You have 10 fingers on your hands. How many fingers are there on 10 hands? I bet you had the urge to say 100 fingers, but no, the correct answer is 50 fingers. You see two women entering an elevator in a large office building. Which one doesn't work there? The woman on the left is wearing a name tag. It means she works for the company here. So the other woman is probably a guest. A couple decided to name their newborn baby Jason. Try to understand how this name is connected to the name of the couple's other children. J in July, A in August, S in September, O in October, and N in November. And we get Jason. Can you find two bizarre things about this picture? There's a pink coconut over there, and TV antennas sticking out of the sand. Your next task is to figure out which of these men is her husband. It's the guy on the right. Look, the girl keeps a picture of him as wallpaper on her phone. Which of these three ladies is not pregnant? It's the one on the right. If you look at her attentively, you'll see that she has a pillow under her blouse. One of these princesses isn't real. Which one? It's the one on the right. Have you noticed that one of her fingers is green? She's probably not human. How many books can you find in this picture? There are 5 of them here. See? Which of these guys is hungry? The guy on the right has already eaten. See that piece of lettuce stuck between his teeth? But the guy on the left is longingly gazing at a picture of a burger on his phone. He must be the hungry one. Can you find a candle in this picture? Here it is. Oh-ho! If you manage to spot it, you have an eagle eye. Jack posted a new photo from his trip on social media. How many likes did this photo get if only one statement is true? Unfortunately, Jack's photo got 0 likes. Hopefully, he wasn't too upset. Marcus woke up in a dark basement with just one candle burning on the table. He saw 3 doors in one of the walls and 3 keys lying on the table. How many attempts did the guy need to figure out the key for each door? He needed 6 attempts at the most. 3 of them for the first key, 2 attempts for the second key, and 2 remaining doors. And just 1 attempt for the last key. But if Marcus is extremely lucky, he might need just 3 attempts.
Okay, here we go. One of these guys is a time traveler. Can you guess who? There's a smartphone on the floor. It fell out of this guy's pocket. So he's the time traveler. Miss Charles is a famous chemist. Someone kidnapped her from her own lab. The police study the crime scene and find no evidence, other than a piece of paper with abbreviations for chemical elements and molecules. They question the only people who came to her lab on the day of the kidnapping: fellow scientist Nicholas, her boyfriend Austin, and her sister Alice. The police arrest one of the witnesses right away. How did they know who it was? There's a very obvious clue on the piece of paper. If you combine the abbreviations of the chemical substances, you'll get a name: OSTIN. George fell from a 100-foot ladder, but he didn't get hurt. How is this possible? Well, he was on the first step. Leah is sunbathing at the beach. She takes a little nap. Then she wakes up and finds out that her precious antique bracelet is gone. Leah gets furious. She finds 7 suspects at the beach. One of them is the thief. Can you guess who? Only the fisherman could have stolen it without leaving any footprints on the sand. Shelley and Kelly are sisters. Shelley lives alone, while Kelly lives with her boyfriend. Can you guess who is who? The woman on the left looks like she's making a meal for one person. She's Shelley. Meanwhile, the woman on the right has a big pot full of soup, so she's Kelly. Take a look at this picture. How many ways can you read the word tiger? Tiger can be read in 60 ways in the given picture. The easiest way to count is to start with the letter T in the center, and then move to the neighboring letter vertically or horizontally. Peter is exploring old caves outside the city. Suddenly, he gets trapped in a mysterious dungeon. There are 3 ways out, but only one of them is safe. Behind the first door, there's a raging fire. Behind the second door, there's acid rain, which could melt any substance within seconds. Behind the third door, there's a huge brown bear that hasn't eaten in 2 years. Which way should Peter choose? He should enter the third door. No animal can go for 2 years without food. An important final exam is taking place in the local college. One of the students is cheating. Can you spot who? It's this guy. He has answers on his arm. Jules is making her way through the forest. She can see the river ahead, but before she reaches it, Jules needs to solve a problem with a pack of wolves. They're slowly surrounding Jules. She comes up with 3 ideas. Press against the tree and quickly climb it, use matches to make a fire on the ground and scare away the wolves, and the third idea is to splash water in different directions. What's the best course of action? Wolves are afraid of fire, but Jules doesn't have enough time to make it. And water is useless in this case, so Jules should find a tall tree and climb it. Emperor Kyle rules one faraway galaxy. He looks after all the planets in it. One day, someone broke into his palace and stole the blueprint of a new gadget. This gadget should create the first planet with oxygen. Emperor Kyle is sure that the robber is among the kings who rule the largest planets in his galaxy. He immediately calls them for interrogation. King from Planet M says, "I was too busy recently. The locals on my planet are moving to a new apartment district." King from Planet B replies, "There was a fire on my planet. I put the fire out on my own. Thankfully, it's over now." And the ruler of Planet Q says, "I've been feeling really sick recently, so I didn't even want to fly to this meeting." Who is lying? It's the king from Planet B. As we mentioned, there's no oxygen on any of the planets in this galaxy. This means there can be no fire. Nora arrives at her office early in the morning. Wow! Someone left a fruit basket on the desk. Oh no, did I forget someone's birthday? She works with 3 colleagues, Tyler, Chris, and Amanda. Nora checks their profiles to find out who's having a birthday today, but nobody. All the co-workers arrive later and Nora questions them. Tyler says, "I've nothing to do with this basket. I'm allergic to most fruits." Chris says, "Give me a break. I was partying all night, so I didn't have time to send silly gifts." And Amanda says, "Wow, I think it was Chris. He's totally crushing on you. He confessed to me last week." Who's lying? Tyler. Take a look at the takeaway smoothie that he's holding. It's full of fruits, so he lied about his allergy. Holly's walking down the street. Suddenly, someone snatches a bag from her hands and runs away. Luckily, it happened right in front of the police department. A policeman on the porch notices the crime. and he begins to chase the thief, who runs into the local hospital. It's very crowded here. Can you help the policeman find the thief among these people? There's definitely something wrong with this guy. He's holding stuff that belongs to different doctors: a dentist, an ophthalmologist, and a surgeon. The thief tried too hard to pretend to be a doctor. Andrew and Rose are getting married. They're looking for the perfect place to celebrate. Their agent shows the guys 4 options. Can you help them choose the best one? Let's take a look at the first option. Some chairs have missing legs. It doesn't seem safe. Snakes are crawling in the flower decoration in the 3rd space. And there's a water puddle around the bathroom in the 4th restaurant. So, Andrew and Rose should pick the second option. Luke invites his best friend Nancy to the restaurant. He's very nervous because he wants to ask her to be his girlfriend. They finish a delicious dessert, and Luke is about to ask the question. Suddenly, Nancy's phone rings. She leaves the table. In a couple of minutes, she returns, and Luke notices the difference in Nancy right away. She has a vampire bite on her neck and sharp teeth. Luke wants to catch the vampire who did it. He finds 4 suspects. Who bit Nancy? These 2 people have red lipstick on their faces. They were just kissing. And the chef is making a strawberry cake. So this guy is a vampire. Alex runs a small shoe repair shop. On Friday night at around 9 p.m., Alex leaves his office and goes to the parking lot. Oh no! Someone scratched his car. Alex questions 3 witnesses to figure out who did it. Sandra says, "I was heading to the coffee shop to get some espresso. I can't sleep. I have to get ready for my finals." Mike says, "I spent all day at the farmer's market. That was awesome. You should check it out too. It's held every Sunday." And Nina says, "My car is over here and it's fine. I don't know who scratched yours because I just arrived." One of them is lying. Can you guess who? Mike. He said the farmer's market was held every Sunday, but it's Friday night. Claire is having an audition today, but first she needs to fix her car to go there. 3 mechanics offer their help, but 2 of them are fake mechanics. Can you spot who exactly? The second guy's watch looks pretty expensive. It's too risky to wear them while working. And the third guy's nails are too long for this job. Claire should pick the first guy. Frank is a private investigator. He receives a task to secretly check this office. Can you spot Frank? Over here. What about this location? Can you find Frank? He's hiding in a trash bin.
Jacob comes home from work and finds out that his girlfriend Stella is missing. She never cooks, but she left this weird recipe on the table. Can you figure out where Stella is? These fractions imply the number of letters that we should take from each word on the list. L from the lettuce, O, N from the onion, D, O from the donut, and so on. And this way, we'll get the word London. so Jacob should look for his girlfriend in London. Jacob hits the road and goes to the airport, but unfortunately the main road is closed for repairs. He can only take one of these 3 routes instead. Can you help Jacob make the right choice? Only the 3rd route leads to the final destination. Jacob checks in for a flight, and he still has to check out the local boutiques. There's an imposter among these mannequins. Can you spot him? This one. His eyes are blinking.
Hey!
It's boarding time. Jacob walks down the airport and spots 4 odd things about this place. Can you see them too? One of the planes is parked vertically. This trash bin is moving on its own. The gate numbering has mirrored digits, and the vending machine is selling raw vegetables. Jacob is ready to take his seat. Suddenly, he faces a mysterious stewardess. She offers him a deal.
Sir, I have 3 boxes for you. If you pick the right one, the entire first class will be yours. If not, you'll be removed from the flight.
Can you figure out which box Jacob should choose? Let's take a closer look at the food emojis printed on the boxes. If we write out the first letters of each ingredient, we'll get false, right, and wrong. So Jacob should pick the second box. Jacob lands in London and goes to the city by train. Can you find 3 zombies in this car? Hello? Jacob checks into a hotel. There's a fancy wedding party going on in the hotel restaurant, but one of these people is not from this planet. Can you guess who? It's the bride. She has 3 hands. Jacob receives an invitation from his girlfriend's kidnapper. Come over and you'll see Stella. Jacob arrives at the meeting point and sees 4 doors. A creepy voice announces, "Your girlfriend is behind one of these doors. If you pick the right door, you're free to go. But if you make the wrong choice, you'll be trapped forever." Which door should Jacob choose? Each door has a line of symbols. If we take the first letter of each symbol, we can arrange 4 female names: Stella, Alice, Miranda, and Bianca. So, Jacob should pick the first door to rescue his girlfriend. Jacob takes Stella to the hotel and goes outside to get some coffee. Oh no, zombies are everywhere! Jacob and a couple of other hotel guests hide in a royal suite. He goes to the kitchen to check the food supply. Suddenly, Jacob hears someone screaming and runs to the living room. He sees a zombie who has already bitten one of the guests. Jacob locks the zombie in the bathroom, and now he has to figure out who's infected. Jacob questions all of them. Stella says,
I was sitting in the closet, and suddenly a zombie ran into the room.
Peter says, I smeared myself with garlic to make the zombies stay away. And Elon says, I protected myself with a tennis racket. I carried it with me all day. That's why zombies didn't bite me. Who's lying? Peter, garlic protects from vampires, not zombies.
Hey!
Jacob and Stella return home safely. After a while, they decide to open a spa hotel outside the city. In the very first days, someone robs them and steals the most expensive beauty products. Jacob looks through the camera footage. He sees a masked person putting things from the storage into a bag and taking them away. Jacob knows for sure that the thief is among his employees, so he questions them. A massage therapist says,
Yesterday, I went home early because my husband got sick. I returned in the morning to work.
The manager says, I didn't sleep all night because one demanding visitor constantly complained. I was solving his problems. And the nail artist says,
I had to wake up last night to do an emergency manicure for my client. She's having an important event early this morning.
Can you spot the thief? It was the nail artist. Her sweater looks exactly the same as the thief's outfit in the camera footage, but she put on an apron on top. The next day, a weird thunderstorm happened in the area of the spa center. Some people received superpowers after looking at the lightning. Jacob decides to find all the superheroes to protect the other people from possible threats. Can you help him spot a superhero in this storage room? This guy's arm is too long. Can you see any superheroes in the lounge area? This cleaning lady is flying without any ropes. Jacob decides to visit the local pool. He leaves his clothes and backpack in a locker in the dressing room and goes swimming. After a while, Jacob returns. Oh no, someone broke the lock and stole his clothes. He decides to question 3 guys standing nearby. Elon says, I spent the last 30 minutes on an exercise bike, and now I'm headed to the shower. I didn't notice anything suspicious. Andrew says, I entered the dressing room a second ago. Your locker was already open. And Olaf says, I was washing my hair in the shower after the sauna, and I didn't hear anything at all. Who's lying? Olaf. If he's just washed his hair, why is it so dry? Jacob receives an emergency call from his manager. One of the guests is not from this planet. Can you spot who? This lady over here. Her skin tone is as green as her facial mask. Another mystery has occurred in the ladies' dressing room. Jessica complains to Jacob that someone has stolen her smartwatch. Jacob finds 3 suspects and questions them. Leah says,
I was on the phone with my manager. I receive a 6-0 paycheck every month. Why would I need to steal gadgets?
Melissa says, I've spent the last 2 hours in the sauna. I don't know what happened here. And Shannon says, I took a shower and then focused on my makeup. Sorry I didn't pay attention to the other guests. Who's lying? Melissa, take a look at the safety sign at the sauna entrance. It's forbidden to stay inside longer than 20 minutes. But according to Melissa's story, she spent 2 hours there. Liar! Jacob is heading to the parking lot, but the back door of the spa center is locked. Someone changed the 7-digit code. Can you guess the code to help Jacob open this door? There's a hint on the door. Each color corresponds with a particular number. Yellow implies 5, orange 2, red 6. So the last number of the code is 6. Stella has just purchased a fancy body lotion. She begins to test it, but something goes wrong. Stella is turning into a toad. Fortunately, she manages to call Jacob and tell him everything before it's too late. Jacob rushes to his witch buddy and gets a potion to turn Stella back into a human. But when he comes home, he sees not one, but 7 toads. He has to figure out which one of these toads is Stella. Jacob finds a note, and here's what we know for sure. The correct toad isn't green, but it's next to a green one, and it's not next to the last toad in line. Can you find Stella? First of all, we can exclude all the green toads, and now we have 4 options left. The 7th toad is not next to the green one, so let's get rid of it too. Options 2 and 6 can also be excluded because they're both next to the last toads in line. So, Stella is the 4th toad. Paul has been driving for 7 hours on the freeway. Suddenly, his tire bursts. He calls for help, but the service worker says it will cost him $300. Paul gets angry. He's thirsty, hungry, and doesn't have any money. He's still sitting in the car when suddenly a miracle happens. 3 doors appear out of nowhere.
Wow!
Each door has a sign above showing where they lead. There's a bunch of delicious food behind the first door: burgers, spaghetti, lobster, and pizza. The second door hides all sorts of beverages, from energy drinks to sodas and iced teas. And finally, there's $1 million in cash behind the third door. Which door should Paul open first? First of all, Paul has to open his car door. Someone breaks into Nina's apartment the day before Halloween. She returns home from work, sees the mess, and calls the police. The door doesn't have any signs of a break-in, but one of the windows is open. The detective questions Nina's neighbors. Mrs. Bold says,
I was knitting a pair of gloves for my great-granddaughter.
Ethan says, I was working a 14-hour shift the day before, so I was sleeping all day. And Dan says, I had broken my leg, and I didn't leave home for 3 weeks. Who's guilty? It's Ethan. He was the only one able to climb into a window. Mia is hiking in the forest and gets lost. She comes across a witch's house. The witch offers to teleport Mia home, but there's a twist. 5 doors appear in front of Mia. The witch says,
Only one of them will take you home, and you only have one chance to choose the right door. The door you need is black. It's not next to the leftmost or the rightmost door. It's not the door in the middle either.
which door should Mia choose? Mia has only 3 black doors to choose from. It's not the door next to the leftmost or the rightmost one, so the 4th door can be eliminated. It can't be the middle door as well. Therefore, Mia should enter the door on the left. Polly is trying to break into an ice castle to save her friend Edward, but there's a combination lock on the gate. Luckily, there's a clue carved in the ice here. The 162 combination. Only one number is correct and in the right place. As for the 842 combination, 2 numbers are actually correct, but in the wrong places. 526, nothing is correct. Can you help Polly crack the code? The passcode is 184. First, we exclude 2 and 6 because in the 3rd combination, no number is correct. In 842, 2 numbers are correct. So now we can conclude that the code contains 8 and 4. The last number must be 1, and since 1 is in its place, we can easily figure out where 8 and 4 should go.
Yes!
Anna wakes up in a dark dungeon without remembering what happened. She looks around and sees a metal door. Unfortunately, it's locked, and it requires not just 1 password, but 4. Anna has just 1 attempt to make it right. Gladly, next to the door, there's a sign with 4 words: apple, bread, chair, and dress. Can you guess the passwords for each keyhole? Let's take a closer look at the shapes of each keyhole and the shapes of the passwords.
Oh.
Some letters are bigger than others, and each word can fit right in. So bread should be put in the first keyhole. Apple fits into the second one, and the dress goes into the third keyhole. And finally, the chair should be put fourth.
Oh.
Take a look at these people. One of them is not a real human. Can you guess who? It's the lady on the left, who eats a main course with a dessert spoon. What about this picture? Who looks suspicious? This guy. There's no reason to wear a warm coat. Can you spot a guest from another planet in this cafe? It's this lady. She's reading a magazine upside down. Leo opens a new art gallery. He needs to hire a manager to handle it. Leo finds these 3 candidates online and studies their profiles. Steve has recently graduated from college, but he's already completed several internships at fancy art galleries. Bella has been working in Europe for several years, and now she's looking for job opportunities in her hometown to be closer to her family. And Frank has 15 years of work experience. Unfortunately, one of these candidates is a liar. Can you guess who? Take a look at Leo's calendar. It's 2023 now. According to Frank's birthday, he should be around 22 years old at the moment. Therefore, he can barely have a 15-year work experience. Rick works for a large financial company. He gets outside the office and goes to the parking lot to go to a business meeting. But he doesn't find his Mercedes in the parking lot. He immediately calls the police. The police officers soon find Rick's car and start to chase the criminal, but he leaves the car and escapes to the park. The police search the arena and find 3 suspects. What are you doing here? Nick says, I'm jogging here. Mike says, I'm just waiting for a taxi to pick me up. And Peter says,
I'm just walking and enjoying nature.
who stole the car? Mike. He's hiding a car key with the Mercedes logo. Kelly wakes up in a haunted hallway. To get outside, she needs to enter one of these 3 doors. But each option has a hidden danger. Venomous scorpions are crawling behind the first door. There's a siren behind the second door. She can turn any human into a zombie with her singing. And there's a fire-breathing dragon behind the third door. Which door is more or less safe for Kelly to choose? Kelly can put on her soundproof headphones and walk through the second door.
Yes!
Mary goes to a jazz club after work. It's almost empty, but there's one handsome gentleman sitting in a chair next to a mirrored wall. Mary falls in love at first sight. She approaches him and introduces herself.
Hello.
But suddenly, Mary changes her mind. Why?
Oh.
The gentleman doesn't reflect in the mirror, so he's either a ghost or a vampire. Bob decides to go play basketball with his friends. Can you spot anything odd here? There's no hoop. Can you spot any mistakes in this picture? The ice cream cart lacks a wheel, and the lettering is wrong. Vicky arrives at her apartment after 2 hours of absence. Wow, there's a huge fruit basket by her door. The card says it's from a secret admirer. Vicky questions her neighbors. Mrs. Green says,
I've been walking my dog in a park for 3 hours. Then we grabbed some groceries and went home.
Andrew says, I left my apartment about 5 minutes ago to do some laundry in the basement. I only have one set of bed linen, so I have to wash it regularly. The basket was already at your door, but I didn't see anyone.
Jacqueline says, I was taking a bath. I turned the music loud so I couldn't hear anything from the corridor.
Who's lying? Andrew said he has only one bedding set, and it should be inside the washing machine at the moment. But take a look at his apartment. His bed sheets are still on the bed, so his story must be fake. Can you spot a guest from another planet? This lady is too tolerant of heat. This gentleman has a knife instead of an arm. And this one didn't break the eggs before cooking them. Richard wants to rent a studio apartment in Boston. He asks an agent to find the property of his dreams. The agent comes up with 4 options, but only one of them is trustworthy. Can you help Richard make the right choice? The first studio looks very classy and chic, but the ceiling is leaking. According to the description, the second apartment was built centuries ago, so it just can't look so high-tech and fancy. As for the fourth option, it's too overpriced for a property that is located next to a toxic factory. So Richard should pick the third studio. Although it looks pretty messy, he can easily fix it.